on a beautiful island connected to the Swedish coast, occupied by farmsteads and cottages on top rocky landscape carved by a bygone ice age. In 1711, there was an egg, high importance on the walls, as a man searches through the grass. His very young daughter, searching for fun, comes up to him and he asks her, "Hello, little loser. Have you seen a goose egg? Your father is missing one." The daughter tells him that mommy's maid Johanna had taken it. The father goes immediately to where he thinks she is, drying clothes and whatnot, and he tells her, quote, "I don't want to hear of such nonsense." After he is satisfied of enforcing his authority, he goes over to his cottage to mull over it. Meanwhile, another maid and his sister-in-law hears about this and follow him. Once they get inside, an argument ensues about who is in the wrong. It gets heated and it gets physical. And then a screaming brother came, ready to punch. Oops, got a bit too ahead of myself. This is Hermann. This is Johan Hansson. That is maid Elin Persdotter. That's his brother Helge Hansson. And Helge's wife Maria Johanna Greve Andersdotter. And this egg is the latest icebreaker that thinly supported an ever build-up of domestic resentment expunged by a piece of perceived unresolved inheritance. Let's fill in some blanks. Johan was born in 1672 on his father's property of Bogane in Mickneby parish of Sweden. A few years later, his younger brother Helge was born, sons of shipbuild master Hans Andersson and virtuous mother Sigrid Helgesdotter. Years later, Sigrid bought Hermann for 500 silver dollars in 1704. In 28th of February 1705, the dad died, leaving his possessions worth 881 silver dollars and 21 öre, or 2,645 koppardaler, what a housemaid in 1725 would make after 5 years of work, or a seaman in 1710 3 years of work. Their mother had plans that once she died, Johan would inherit Hermann and Helge would inherit Bogane. Here lies a big problem. They both hated each other. They argued about everything, especially about inheritance. And the only common ground they had was their hatred towards their mother. Here are some examples. 22nd of January 1706, Sigrid made sure that both properties would be liquidated so neither son can compete about which one is worth more. 7th June 1710, Sigrid told the court to remove Johannes from the will and the remaining inventory from his father because he and his wife are rude to her. Johannes later complained and the court were able to help fix the issues and convince Sigrid to reinstate Johannes to the inheritance. And in 6th of June 1711, Sigrid wrote a testament saying that both brothers need to be nice to each other and her, forget all their disagreements in the past, and share the property of Hermann. If they don't follow this, they could lose their half of Hermann, the inheritance, and move to Bogane. And this is why the egg is causing such a conflict, not in its value as a product, but its ownership. Johan might have already felt that Hermann and its assets are his, while Helge and the maids thought otherwise. So after all that explaining, let's go back to when Elin and Maria entered the cottage. When Eilin went in, she said, and I quote, "You shall be a thief until proof that we took the egg." Johannes answered, "I have lost the egg, that's why I'm asking for it. I don't know who has taken it, and I am not accusing anyone for being a thief, but I am missing the goose egg." Eilin then went forward and struck a table. The wife did as well. This action happened right in front of his nose. She then went forward and bumped twice into him. He got uncomfortable and asked them to leave so he can get peace. She ignored his request and bumped into him a third time. He then struck her down to the floor. Elin rose up and struck Johan to the floor. At the same time, a screaming Helge came and punched him on the mouth and nose, so that blood ran. Johan asked to be left alone to restore peace and safety in the cottage. He begged them to spare his life for his young children's sake. While saying this, they tore down a milk canister and a soap box, ruining them on the floor. And that is Johan Hansson's account of the events that transpired in 6th of June 1711, suing his brother for damages and wanting legal repercussions. Helge Hansson brought in his almighty judge Samuel Ruteberg, who is well liked, and requested that Johannes bring a witness to prove that what he said is true. Johan suggested his maid Kerstin written account. The sheriff and juryman Jacob in Hästkälla witnessed Johannes' injuries, and if this wasn't enough, he offered to swear an oath. Someone objected to the claim, saying that there were no witnesses and that it's illegal to accept an oath when no witness or evidence exists. Jacob came in and said that when he sued Elin, she confessed to have stabbed and struck Johannes when they were together. The almighty Samuel objected this claim because Jacob did not act in coherence with the law to extract an admission from Elin. The attention of the court swiftly shifted focus to Jacob in Hästkälla, and the investigation seemingly never resolved. Now, for anyone feeling bad for Johannes, you might be glad to hear that years later, his mother gave him all of her inheritance, except Bugane, because she got enough of Helge and his wife's mistreatment. And that's why my branch of the family owns all of Hermann.